Hello Pickles, if you follow this channel you'll know that I am passionate about rational thinking, and I believe rationality has brought many things to my life, to my career, relationships and happiness and health, but I also know that rationality isn't enough to propel you to the things that you want to do in life. And I was talking to a group about reading recently, and when I was making notes for my talk, it really struck me how much I am a lifelong reader. And I have to still set my own habits and, carve out time, sometimes aggressively, to get my reading in. But I also realize how much of this is driven just by sheer passion, just by my emotional drive and curiosity and hunger to keep learning all the time. And when people who don't read much often want to get started, they often ask the obvious question, what should I read? And it strikes me that what a lot of people do is they look for the books they should read. They go and scour the bestseller list. They go and, pluck a bunch of books that they think would be worthy books, or they go and grab a bunch of literary classics like Moby Dick and Shakespeare or ancient Greek philosophy and all these things they think would make them a well-rounded person, or they get some Victorian novels or something. And then they wonder why they just don't stick with it. And they try and they get like 30 pages through some new Booker Prize winning book and it just doesn't grab them. And they're like, oh, but is this what literary fiction is? I'm not really feeling into it. It's a chore. Or I notice a lot of people who don't read a lot, when they read, they sit just taking notes all the time and they treat it like it's homework, and they have to like copy everything out and have their pens and pencils out. And I think this is not the way that voracious readers treat reading. This is not the way that people who love books and love reading, they don't sit there like it's homework. They just pluck things that are exciting to them, and they, if they're not enjoying a book, they get rid of it. They plunge into a specific area sometimes and read 5 books by a particular author or a subject, and then they dance to another thing. And, it's a kind of chain. Everything leads to the next thing. And I know that's the way it works for me when it's at its best. I've read many intimidating classics. I've read Ulysses or Moby Dick or the Brothers Karamazov, but I didn't set myself a list of 10 of the world's literary classics and start going through one by one. And I think if I'd done it like that, it would have become an interminable grind. And more, it's the case where sometimes I've had these books on my shelf for a while, knowing that I'd like to read that at some point. I'm curious. I want to check out Moby Dick. But sometimes I go through 4 or 5 books first, and it's like after those I go, today's the day I actually feel like starting Moby Dick. I think I'm going to go on this voyage now and read this book at last. And, but before that, I might read a book on physics. I might decide to read a personal development book. I might read a book about business or investing, or just a fun, punchy novel like a YA novel, or, a Lee Child novel, or whatever I feel like. And then it's just like, okay, now I feel like my palate's cleansed and I want to read a big, difficult literary book right now. And so if you are someone who really wants to get a better reading practice in place, there's this quote by Naval Ravikant who says, read what you love until you love to read. And I think that's the best starting place for anyone. Instead of trying to think what the worthy books are, if you want to get into fiction, say, go into a bookshop and just glance around and just let your feet take you where they're going to take you. Let your eyes wander until you just kind of settle on something where you're just like, that seems exciting, that seems fun. Even if it's a bit trashier than you would like, even if it doesn't feel as highbrow as you feel you aspire to be right now, I think it's so important to start with passion, to start things with where your heart is, what you're actually feeling drawn to, rather than try to calculate it or be spoon-fed something you just feel this is worthy literature, so this is what I should read. And you'll often anyway build up to the things that you aspire to. If you do want to read more highbrow fiction, you'll probably naturally just get there anyway, because I think Naval said this as well, you just kind of will get bored with the stuff you're reading right now, and you'll kind of think, oh, I want to read something more challenging next time. And so I think it's really important to treat reading like this, and that way you don't get out of the practice. Because that's the worst thing. The worst thing is stopping. You're not obligated to finish every book on your list, but you're not obligated to stop reading. You have to keep going. That's if you want that habit, do what it takes to keep the habit actually moving forward. And if a book's not gripping you right now, maybe it will later. You'll come back to it. But, look right now for the things that are exciting to you. And it might be in many diverse fields, and that's the fun of it. You can grab like 5 or 10 books and have them on your shelf and just pluck the next one that's interesting to you and then go to the next one. But I think the more you do this, the more things build, the snowball builds, and you actually get more reading done. And you actually enjoy it and satisfy your curiosity as well. So start with what you love. Let me know in the comments where you naturally go to in a bookshop. I'm curious, what section do you go to? What are you drawn to? Is there a kind of book right now, a genre, or a kind of, aspirational set of books that you would like to read at some point? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you soon.